Ellie.
And Jesse. And this is Design for Adventure.
We're a married couple figuring out family travel, Disney trips, running races, parenting,
And how to make adventures actually work in real life.
Yes, we travel with our kids.
And still manage to have a good time.
And if you love making memories and want an adventure that fits real life, you're in the right place. All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about flying with kids without losing your mind. So we have done a few flights with our kids. Not a lot. They're not, by no means are our kids trained to be on an airplane. We're not one of those people who've done over 100 flights or something crazy like that. But they've flown several times each.
Yeah, they're also only 2 and 5. So are there people that have flown over 100 times with young kids like that?
According to some Instagram posts I have seen, yes. And all I can think is that you have then trained your child to behave on a plane. That's not real life.
Yeah, not at all. Normal people don't fly like that many times.
No. Maybe every 2 years?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about flying with kids and how it can be overwhelming and stressful at times. It can also be intimidating.
Yeah, we'll also talk about the experiences we have and how, like Ellie just said, it is stressful and intimidating, but it usually goes better than expected. So be optimistic about it because everything's going to turn out just fine.
And I will say, I'm not sure Jesse agrees with me on this one, but I like to pay for convenience if possible. So if there is a time where I can buy something to make my life a little bit better on an airplane, I will probably do it, including Wi-Fi.
I thought you were talking beer.
Well, I haven't had that experience yet, but I think you've done it.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah. Helped a lot.
So as I said before, our kids haven't flown like 100 flights or some ungodly number like that. We have flown with our children from ages 6 months to 5 years, though. So our daughter has been on a plane twice at 6 months old, and then just a couple weeks ago at 2 years and 3 months. And then our son, our oldest, he's been on the plane about 4 times now. About 2, 2.5, 3.5, and 5.
I personally think that driving is significantly easier, obviously logistically, but sometimes flying is necessary if you have to get somewhere quickly.
Yeah, it's just easier to throw everything in the car to us, at least, but sometimes it's a 2-day drive or 3-day. You just have to fly. We recognize that, and we're not afraid to do it. We just prefer to drive if we can. And I know a lot of people are like that too. But we actually have both flown with the kids solo. So I've done it twice, once with our oldest, and then just recently with both kids by myself. You've done it once.
I've just done it once with our oldest, yes, when he was like 2.
We were both just saying how both of those times went great.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Our kids were great. They were well behaved. I had no issues. They were just so excited to be on a plane and in an airport. It really wasn't hard to get them to do what I needed them to do and to be big helpers.
Yeah, and it really helped for me. He was 2 years old at the time, and he was still in his construction truck phase. So we sat beside the big windows, and he got to watch airplanes taking off and landing. But on the other side of the runway, there was some big construction project going. There were tons of big trucks that were moving lots of dirt. So that held his undivided attention for like an hour.
Wasn't quite that lucky, but
Yeah.
definitely can see that happening. We're going to talk about what has worked. First thing, I talked about buying convenience. TSA Pre-check. I know there's some other options like Clear. Just do it. Just do it, especially if you have kids. It is so much easier to go through those lines. They tend to be shorter. You don't have to take off shoes, empty bags. You literally just put everything on the conveyor belts, the scanner, and then you walk through.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. Also, if you can have someone drop you off and pick you up or like even walk you to security, that makes things so much easier too. Just especially help you get there to get bags checked in if you need to, someone to keep an eye on the kids while you do that, and then just help manage the chaos as you get to security.
Yeah, so Jesse, he dropped us off at the airport, but he actually parked and walked us in, made sure the kid, occupied the kids while I got our bags checked, and then walked us all the way to security. And then our oldest was a little upset you weren't coming with us. But
Yeah, that happened.
but it was just so much easier. I wasn't like trying to hold two hands, put this 50-pound suitcase on
Was it only 50 pounds or were you overweight?
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. I got it there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot easier. And then speaking of checking bags, if you can check a bag, so if you have a direct flight, I would check a bag. Obviously, there's chaos that can happen when you have to have layovers and things like that, or maybe you're going somewhere where it's okay if your luggage gets lost. We were going to Disney and we only had a direct flight, so I was okay. I kept everything I absolutely needed in our carry-ons, but checking a bag was absolutely necessary because I wasn't going to have enough hands to pull enough suitcases.
And strollers, highly recommended for in the airport. However, major pain on the airplane.
Didn't have a problem with it. So yes, a stroller because you can strap that kid in. Now, getting through security, the kids have to come out of the stroller because they have to check it by itself. So you have to either carry your kids or they have to walk in by themselves. My last experience was pretty good. They did it very quickly. The stroller was right there waiting for us once we got through the line both times, and then just strapped them back in their 5-point harness so they could not get out while we walked to our gate. But don't know, you get down the gangplank, you just gate check it. I don't know, I didn't think it was that big of an issue.
I guess the time that I flew solo, it was an issue because our son tried to run away, but thankfully there was a very nice TSA agent there that caught him and held his hand for me while everything else was getting checked and through security.
Oh, that didn't happen. Our oldest was glued to my side and very concerned about his stuffies as they were going through the scanner. He was good. I put him in charge of our youngest, so I think he liked that responsibility.
Yeah, adding a little responsibility is always a good thing. Since another way you can do that is let them be in charge of their own suitcase. We have a little BB-8. I'm not a Star Wars.
Good.
Yes, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but apparently that's what this suitcase is. That is like toddler size that he and she can hang on to and pull through the airport behind them. And they get so many comments about that. People that are Star Wars aficionados just think it's awesome.
Especially when you stick them in Grogu or Baby Yoda pajamas and then they're pulling the BB-8 suitcase behind them. I got so many compliments.
I guess there's some sort of significance to that.
Star Wars people know.
Yeah.
But no, our oldest absolutely loves having a suitcase to be responsible for. So we have a small suitcase, the BB-8 one, that we use when we can. And then I have another one that's small enough to fit underneath the seat, actually. So it's a carry-on, a personal item. And I let him use that one because it's pretty small. And he loves it. Now be prepared that every child is different, and then also that you may need to be responsible for that bag at some point, for whatever reason, but he really likes having that responsibility. He takes it very seriously. Our youngest is starting to get to that point.
Another thing to plan for on airplane rides is to have some new toys. That way kids are always excited with new toys, the novelty of it, and the newness hasn't worn off, so have some. It doesn't have to be anything expensive either. Just a few cheaper toys from a dollar store or something that could work just fine.
We got a new busy book for our daughter on the airplane that entertained her for a half hour. She was really excited about that. Amazon has some good options that you can look at. Yeah, even just a new coloring book. We had triangle crayons, which do work. Highly do recommend the triangle crayons. You can get them at Walmart for pretty cheap. They were great. And then just a new coloring book. That held attention too. And then also one of the things that another buying convenience, and I really did like this, I was influenced to buy it and I'm glad I did, is it's a tray cover. So it actually slips over the tray that folds down and has little sides so you can put toys on it so they don't roll off. But what you also can do is then you can flip it up and secure the tray, but on the back side has like a clear pouch that you can then put a phone or a tablet or something in. So your kid could watch TV, especially if you're not on a Delta flight, which we weren't, we're on Southwest. And that really helped. So we have a different philosophy when it comes to flying than we do in cars. We still don't let our kids play games on our phone, but we do let them watch a movie or some show that we can download that they're familiar with. So that in that instance, it was great. I had earphone splitters so both kids could just watch Peppa Pig together. And that tray was great, so they weren't fighting over who got the little Kindle I had, or my phone. They could actually have it on the back of the seat and both could like sit there as if they were sitting on the couch together.
Yeah, so that worked well. And also noise canceling headphones. Sometimes, especially at takeoff and landing, there can be some sort of scary noises to young kids. So anything to help ease those transitions helps out a lot also.
Both our kids wore them the entire flight. They loved them. I think it just helped just quiet everything down. And then I had issues with the headphones they were supposed to be wearing, so I put little ones that you put in your ear under the sound canceling headphones to hold them in, and that was great. So I think both of them really liked it. Our youngest actually kept the headphones in for maybe a half hour, which was kind of a record because she does not like them. Usually she likes the sound canceling earmuffs we have, but not like the actual headphones. Another thing, we have flown with a few different carriers. So we've done Spirit, Southwest, Delta. I think so far Delta's our favorite just because they have the actual TVs for the kids to entertain them. Our son loved watching the airplane tracker, so didn't even want a TV, like a movie or anything on. He just liked watching the airplane like slowly move across the map. He loved that. He would make me put it on mine the entire time just so he could see it and keep watching it. Do like the Delta flights for that reason. I know they're pricey, but it was helpful. It was a little less stress on,
That goes back to paying for convenience too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can get a good Delta flight, we'll go for it.
Pack lots of snacks too. Don't rely on just what the airplane flight attendant is going to give you. However, you don't want to get your kids all hyped up on sugar because they're going to be confined to a small seat. So it's best to avoid sugary snacks, except maybe some fruit. So avoid that because, like I said, you don't want them running up and down the aisles and hopping up and down the seats and kicking the seats in front of them.
Ask me how we know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, fruit's good, but I like to try and limit the sugar, especially before you get on the plane and during the flight. They always offer apple juice. I say no because that's just going to hype them up. Just keep it strictly water or milk if you have milk because, you just don't want them running around.
You can bring milk too, can't you?
You can bring milk. They don't serve milk on airplanes. They do not have that option. I always would buy them in one of those little stores before we get on the plane. And I would just buy one for each kid or maybe one and get 2 straws or pour it in a cup, depending on the situation. But when they are little, you can get milk through TSA. When our oldest was his first flight, when he was 2, we got milk on because we had him in a bottle. And TSA, all they had to do was like open it and test it to make sure it was milk, I guess. But it was fine. We were able to bring 2 in a cooler with an ice pack. No issues. And then breast milk was not an issue either. When she was 6 months, our youngest, we were able to get breast milk as well. Same concept. I think I had a bottle for emergencies and we were fine.
Along that line, nursing covers.
Oh, yeah. So making sure you have a nursing cover for if you do have a lap baby that is young enough for this. It was a game changer. Just not even that I did nurse her on takeoff and landing. That was really good for helps pop their ears. That helps relax them through whatever's happening. You have to hold them anyway if they're a lap baby. And then the cover was also good because it just darkened it, I think, just made it warmer, more secure. Because it's kind of scary being on an airplane at that age.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine or remember anything, but it just really worked for us. She stayed under the cover for most of the flight, except for maybe a half hour, an hour when she was awake on her first flight.
Yeah, something like that.
The nursing cover was really, for me, it was really helpful.
So we can move into some things that did not work. For instance, getting to the airport too early. You only have so much time that a young child will tolerate being at an airport, just waiting, sitting and waiting. So don't get there so early that you abuse that time and they get bored and start throwing tantrums.
My last flight, we timed it perfectly. We got through security. We went and found food. Once we were done eating, I think I got both kids changed, bathrooms, got to the gate and we were immediately boarding. There was no waiting. And that was perfect. Just because I didn't have to entertain them, pull out any toys, get them to not go crazy. I could just get them onto the plane, get them settled. One time we got to the airport so early because we thought traffic was going to be bad, and it didn't turn out to be bad. We were there for like an extra hour.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was a rough...
For everybody.
Rough 3 hours we were waiting around. Ooh, this one's going to be a hot take. Car seats on an airplane. Yay or nay?
It's convenient. Certainly convenient. However, just the thing that keeps coming up in my mind is his little legs are a lot closer to the seat in front of him, and he thought it was fun to repeatedly kick the seat in front of him, which is problematic.
Oh man, there was a young boy that sat in front of him. He did well, but by the end of the flight, he was done with being kicked.
And it's not like we were just letting him kick either. I mean, we were trying to get him to stop, but he was only like 2 years old at that point, so he just didn't understand a whole lot.
We did all the tricks. We took his shoes off, put his shoes on, held his feet down. None of it worked.
Yeah. Car seats are a real pain to lug through an airport and onto an airplane too.
I mean, sometimes you have to bring a car seat with you for whatever reason. I would gate check it as well. They have nice padded bags you can get with wheels. They have other bags that you can carry on your back. Or if your kid does need to walk a little bit, you can just put it in the stroller seat and push it. We've done that before and gate checked it when we've needed to have a car seat with us at the other ends. But unless they're younger or maybe a night flight and you need them to be able to sleep in the car seat, I would say as you're approaching that 18-month mark, I would gate check it. I wouldn't bring it on the flight with you. I know people say it's the safest place for the baby and safest place for the car seat, but oh my, that was a rough 2.5 hour flight.
That was a lot.
Ooh. I'm going to also say super early flights or late night flights. I'm not going to look for those again just because our kids did not sleep on the plane. There was no interest they were going to sleep. They were too hyped up. The moment we got on that plane at 6 a.m., they were wide awake, ready to go. And then it wrecked them for the rest of the day because they were exhausted by 2 p.m. And then the same with the late night flights. No matter how tired they were not going to sleep. Neither one of them wanted to sleep. They were just too excited to be on an airplane.
Now, the thing with the early morning flights, though, is that the plane is guaranteed to be there.
That is true, and we have dealt with a very bad delay once. And so the early flights, usually you're not going to have any delays. Your plane is probably there, ready to go.
I believe it's a FAA law. The plane has to be there, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
For first thing in the morning, if they're going to have a flight scheduled.
Yeah, so that was...
So, I mean, that's a positive.
If you have a day where you're going to fly and you don't have a lot going on, maybe that's okay. Maybe you're going home. Maybe, you're going to be able to check into your hotel, Airbnb, wherever, visiting family so your kids can get a good nap in. We sort of had that ability, but not quite. So we're flying into Disney, so it was a little crazy. Kids didn't want to sleep. So it did wreck them, I felt like, for about 2 days. It took them to recover from that early flight.
So what are some tips and tricks that you like to utilize for these flights with young children?
I like to be very, very organized.
You? Organized?
Making fun of me because he knows I am super organized to the point where he drives him crazy sometimes. But I like to have everything has its place, has a bag. So a bag for toys, a bag for food, then the diaper bag with the extra clothes. So I know exactly which bag to reach in to grab what I need, especially when I have to reach over 2 kids under a seat to grab it. It worked really well on my last flight. I knew exactly where everything was. A child wanted milk, I had milk. Child wanted a toy, I had toy.
Here's something off subject that drives me crazy. Diaper bags. Why you talking about knowing where everything is? I don't know where anything is in that dang thing because there's so many compartments.
And I tell you where they are every time and you forget.
Well, you say the front pouch, but there's 18 front pouches. It's insane. I can't... very handy, very useful, but I don't know where anything is in that.
Maybe you should pack it.
I do. I would rather. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I prefer to get on the plane early to get everything set up, to get the bags under the seats, overhead, to get the kids in their seats, looking out the window, setting up whatever I need to set up for them, whether I'm putting the little cover onto the tray, pulling out their first set of toys, maybe it's food. I don't know. Would you think it's better to wait till the end to let your kids run around before you get on the plane, or get on early to get everything organized?
No, I'd rather get on early and get settled in and everything organized and ready for them.
It's an extra 20 minutes maybe, but I'd rather take that early boarding time when they ask for families with small children. I would take it because then I don't feel as pressured. I can let my kids walk to the seats too, instead of trying to carry them with bags and there's like 20 people behind me, 20 people in front of me. Yeah. So if possible, I would get a seat for all of your kids. Yes, you can have a child on your lap until age 2, but think of how wiggly, especially after age 1, think of how wiggly those kids get. So it really worked well with our 6-month-old. She couldn't sit up on her own anyways, so there's no point getting her a seat unless we put a car seat in it for her to then lay in, but she was just perfectly happy to lay in our arms and then sit on our lap for a part of the flight. So I would say if it's possible, get that extra seat for your kid. You just want that extra space. Let them have their own space if they want it, especially as they're starting to get wiggles and they can stand and walk. Having that arm space and the space between you and the seat in front of you, that gets smaller as those kids get bigger. So it's kind of, it's nice having that extra seat.
Yeah, I think another tip is to definitely use the bathroom before the plane too. You can use the like family restrooms that are pretty good size there in the airport, but those bathrooms on the airplane are tiny. I never had to use one with a kid, but I can't imagine having to do that.
No, I made our son go before both flights, and I'm very thankful because I don't think he would have gone in them. He would have looked and said, nope.
Yeah, he always likes to wait till the last possible second to go to the bathroom anyway.
I told him he would have to go to the bathroom in a tiny bathroom that was really loud if he didn't go like before we got on the plane. And that seemed to work. It made him go. But with how small they are, they do have a baby changing thing in there.
Huh.
It's so tiny though. I don't know what child would fit on it except for a newborn. So if you're flying and you have a baby that can stand, practice putting on their diapers standing up, like them standing, because I had to change my 2-year-old's diaper. She pooped literally at takeoff, of course. So I had to change her, but the only way to do that was to have her standing on the toilet with the toilet seat down and to then wipe her that way, get the diaper off and get a new one, because there's no way she couldn't even, she could sit on that thing, but she couldn't lay down. It's so tiny. So practice changing the diapers with the kids up. Put on a fresh diaper before you get on the plane if you need to maybe help get that 2-3 hours. Obviously, if you're on a very long flight, that's just not going to be possible. But yes, they're tight bathrooms and those toilets are loud. So if you have a kid who also doesn't like loud noises or is afraid of the flushing, either bring sound canceling headphones for the bathroom as well, or see if you can get them to like leave the bathroom and then flush the toilet, because I know that would have scared both our kids had we had to use it.
Yeah, definitely.
I also like to change them into their pajamas for late night flights, or keep them in their pajamas for the morning. I think that sometimes when they're in pajamas, it signals it's supposed to be like
sleepy time, relaxing time.
Yeah, especially in the evenings, because our last flight, we didn't get in till 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
So then we got off the plane at 9, found you, immediately got in the car, kids fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because they refused to sleep on the plane. So then it was easy. Once we got home, we could just transfer them straight to their beds. We didn't have to deal with clothing and everything, and it was a fresh set of clothes. I didn't feel as bad about that.
Yeah.
One other small tip, but I think it's helpful, because we did it with our 6-month-old, baby carriers. So if you can wear your baby, wear them, especially through the airport, because you can go through security with the carrier on. You don't have to take the baby out and you don't have to take the carrier off, at least not with TSA Pre-check. So that was actually really easy, because I remember you carried her through security and it was just super simple, because then all I had to deal with was with our oldest in the stroller and get him in it. And then both kids are kind of strapped. We didn't have to have a double stroller. because we had her in the carrier, and then you carried her onto the plane, and I feel like all of the flight attendants were like, oh, there's a dad with the baby, and we're all super excited about that. So, pro tip, make the dad carry the babies. I feel like they get more attention, better attention.
Okay.
Than a stressed out mom.
Yeah, could be. So, in closing, I guess just don't stress the small stuff. Flying, it can be a lot easier than you think it can be.
Like you said, don't stress the small stuff. The flight's probably going to go a lot better than you think it is.
Yeah.
Your child's going to be excited to be on a plane. If you can get a window seat, that's great. If not, it's fine. They're just going to be excited. There's going to be some new things to look at. I think my daughter on the last trip spent 10 minutes just looking at all the little things stuffed in the pouch. She was just going through and staring at all the photos and going, ooh, ooh, over and over again. So everything's going to be fun for them. They're going to love seeing the planes out the windows. Get on early if you can. We usually don't allow screens with our kids when traveling, but with airplanes, I feel like our philosophy is because we're stuck in this small little tube in a very small area. We can't control when we stop to go to playgrounds. I do try and bring toys to entertain them first, but at some point they get bored with that because they want to get up. I let them watch a movie like as if we were at home on the couch watching TV with them. I watch it with them. We all watched Peppa Pig on our flights home. It was fine.
Definitely pack some pacifiers, bottles, and water bottles too to help with the ears popping. They'll make them feel a lot more comfortable as you gain elevation and then decrease elevation too.
Most of the time their bodies will take care of it, but on this last flight, our oldest, his ears weren't popping, so I kept making him drink some water out of a straw, and they finally did. But he kept complaining how they hurt. So drink things out of a straw, pacifiers if you use them. Babies can suck their thumb, or nurse if you're nursing on takeoff and landing. And just remember, people can choose to be child-free, but they can't live in a child-free world. Your children have every right to be on that plane as any adult does. So do not let those jerks get to you. Don't let any snide comments about if your children are being loud or anything like that. Your children have every right to be on that plane. You have every right to be flying with your kids somewhere. So just remember that. Most people have been there and they understand.
Somebody make a comment to you or something?
No, I just see a lot of posts about, I can't believe that kid was crying and things like that.
Oh.
I just want to make that comment because you just see so many comments on like Instagram and Facebook about it. It's like ridiculous. Oh. And the people who like want to change because their kid is seated, 5 rows behind them and they won't change. They're like, oh, you should have bought another seat. And like, as a parent, I shouldn't have to, like, they should just put us together. I don't care where we sit, just put us together. Anyways.
Was that for the podcast or are you going to edit all that out?
I'm going to edit all that out.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to leave that in?
It's up to you.
I guess one last thing we didn't talk about is we usually do purchase our seats together. It's one of those buying conveniences, and it's one of those things that I don't want to stress about when I get to the gate, especially if they've, sat my 2-year-old, 18 rows behind me. So a lot of times you can still go with the cheapest option, so the economy version, and then you can just purchase the seats at a later point in the purchasing process, and it's still cheaper than going up to the business class or whatever that second tier will be that you can get. And some of the companies will even, it's like you're buying like a business class seat too. With Southwest, that was how it was. That's what we tend to do, just to sit together. Especially if I'm flying solo, I don't even want to have the stress of both of my kids somewhere else on the plane. I mean, it might be nice for me, but it's, the other people around those other kids might think it's different.
You would be a wreck if that happened.
I would be so nervous. I'd be so upset.
And rightfully so.
Like, my children, I don't know. I feel like they should, if you book your seats together, if you book your tickets together, I don't know why they'd separate you.
Yeah.
Should be law that you can't separate anyone like ages 10 below from a parent or an adult, but for whatever reason, it's not. But last thing I wanted to say on that.
But in the end, just stay calm. Probably flights are not going to turn out as bad as you might think they're going to in your head. Just prepare and everything will go just fine. Your kids read your energy. So if you're calm, they'll be calm. Usually. Nice pregnant pause there. All right. I think that is all we have for you today. So until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Design for Adventure.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're following the show and leave a quick review. It really helps more families find us.
You can also find us on Instagram at Design for Adventure Pod and Facebook at Design for Adventure.
Until next time, don't be afraid to get out there and have an adventure.